But since then, it was another guy that took over the church, and then another guy. And the reason why I bring that up is because, there was a time in New York City when you had like a mayor, Rudy Giuliani, and the one that followed him was along the lines of somewhat of a conservative mayor for New York City. And it seemed as though like New York was getting cleaned up, crime rate started getting lower, and I truly believe that it had to do really with the preaching of the gospel. Now, that's not to say that the preaching of the gospel is not being preached in New York City. I mean, we had brothers in CFM New York City that went out to the Pride Parade today to preach in New York City. Matter of fact, most of everywhere there was a Pride Parade, our ministries in the major cities went out and preached today. I even think we have a live stream going on right now, at least at the time that we started the video, in San Francisco, Chicago, New York. And so I'm not saying that the preaching isn't going out in New York City, but one has to consider how much preaching, true preaching, is actually taking place in that city. That nowadays, that you would have a Muslim uh, win the primary and is the favorite to win the election in November to become the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And, is that something that really God is basically just allowing to happen, right? Is allowing it to happen? Is it because maybe that, the preaching of the cross, the preaching of Jesus Christ just isn't as, um, you know, uh, done as much, in that city? Or the ones that are doing, are they, uh, preaching a watered down message of the cross in these churches? Church like Times Square Church. And and I'm not going to bring up the guy's name, that the pastor now of Times Square Church, but I heard him preach a sermon, and that was basically saying that Jesus was the biggest sinner of all. And he took out of context basically what it was said about that that in Second Corinthians, that he became sin who knew no sin, right? And he basically took that as and I truly believe that the guy was just really just trying to get a wow factor in there. Whether he meant it or not, I mean, that's, I don't know. But I'm only saying this because it's like there has to be something spiritually that is going on, or lack thereof, to that there would be now a Muslim mayor of the largest city in America, right? And I think that that really speaks to what is happening spiritually in New York City. Brother Matt was somebody that's lived there in New York City, right?
I love New
You've
York.
lived there. You love New York, right? You
I
love
love New
living in
York.
this. What's, I mean, how do you feel? Like, what does that make you feel about New York? That there could be a Muslim mayor, just
There we go.
spiritually, not talking
There we
about
go. We're
the.
finally live on Facebook again. Man, what a nightmare all this stuff ends up being every day. Um, well, in New York, I'm used to it being an insane place like that in terms of policies, politics, etc. So, like I said, my knee jerk opinion on it was racist or Christian phobic or xenophobic or something like that. Like my original opinion is, like I said, I want Christians to be in office. Um, and like I said, my thoughts immediately went to London, to the United Kingdom. And what is Satan's plan? I don't think that these people intend to have Muslims take over the entire country and implement Sharia law, but that's what the Muslims do intend to do. That's what they're advocates of. If you start arguing or fighting with one of them, it's only a short period of time. They'll tell you that's exactly why they're reproducing. They'll say, you have one children or no children. We have 14. So the idea that we're going to allow an antichrist, uh, 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 a formal antichrist organization like that, instead of an antichrist organization like the LGBTQ mob, which currently runs New York City, or the Illuminati, or the finance bros that run New York City, it's a little bit scarier, from an end times eschatology perspective, than just your conventional liberal having control over the city, you know. And I also think that people are people, and this news is the thing is New York is such a weird place though, you know. Like when I'm at the pickleball courts, there's a lot of conservatives there, you know, and we know the numbers have been increasing. We see when Trump shows up in the Bronx, how you've got tens and tens of thousands of people that are showing up for him. So I think that like ultimately we have some fear of like a Muslim like this getting in power, you know, and I think you're gonna see a clash. Whereas before, like everyone accepts that New York City is liberal, but I don't think everyone accepts that, or well, everyone accepts that New York City is full of Jewish people, but I don't think everyone's going to accept that New York City it would end up turning into you know a super Muslim capital of the world. Where now, did you see the video in Washington Square Park where they were doing the Islam call to prayer on the Islamic New Year? And have we
No, I
heard?
didn't see that.
Yep. And then there's in Brooklyn, you know, the residents have been complaining about the Islamic prayer in downtown Brooklyn. You know, this is the type of things that national pride and the Islamic pride that will come out, just like when Barack Obama had been elected into office, you know, as the first African American president. You see how people took a real sense of pride in that, and that bolstered their self-esteem, but also their boldness. So as an end result of a Muslim like this getting into office, as horrible as it ends up sounding, I think it's going to cause so much boldness from the Islamic community that we as Christians should fear. And I would hope that when you see something like this happen, that you would then try to build up the Republican base or build up the Christian conservative base in order to win in New York City. And ultimately, sometimes it takes this contrast of opinions and the bad guy winning over and over for us to finally get our act together. Uh, is there a chance that New York City itself can go liberal? I mean, go conservative? I don't know. I have to poll the entire city to see, you know? I do
Yeah.
think there's a chance, to be honest. Trump is a very good spokesperson for not Christianity, but for common sense. And little by little by little, you know, he's been winning over the Jewish people from the absolute beginning. And there is a huge Jewish population in New York City with a massive amount of influence. And I think there's something to be said there.
Yeah, I don't know why on the CFM channel it's the audio is not right, but on the Faith and Nation channel it's a lot better. Actually, somebody's actually saying that Abla says it makes me want to listen to Matt. That's actually much clearer.
Oh,
So I don't know.
my voice is less deep because Abla complains that I have a whiny voice.
Yeah. No,
Abla.
but there is actually. I was listening to the CFM channel, and it just it was kind of scratchy. It's kind of weird,
Well,
but
that happens when we have that thing. I just stopped and restarted it, which shouldn't end the stream or do anything weird. So as of right now, chat, let us know if that has improved and gotten any better. Give us an indicator if
yeah,
that has improved.
yeah. Let us know if you're on the CFM channel if the sound has gotten better. Yeah, Drexel says much better, NG says much better. Yeah, everybody says much better. Praise the
Okay,
Lord.
good.
Thank you. Um, well, I definitely think that there's you know, you could say that maybe there's a judgment. I mean, look, there. I think we're all there's going to be a judgment to America. We understand that. I think we understand that at this point, right? I mean, there's so much sin, and you know this whole Trump thing and the conservative win that we've gotten, and we've got some wins. Praise the Lord. But I think it's just a reprieve. You know, it's only a delaying the inevitable. We've got some wins that are coming in the conservative, but uh, at least I would say this is, you know, if what we're seeing from the Democratic Party, if we're seeing them reach for people like a Mamdani and you know, and moving towards a socialist Muslim, you know, and it doesn't have to be necessarily Muslim per se, but if we're seeing that, then I would pray that the whole country doesn't go in that route. But those are things that obviously that we as the church, I think that there's really a call for the church